What did you think of your Sideways experience?
It was amazing.
Yeah?
Super cool. I mean, this room is incredible. I kind of want to just like sit on this couch, but
Is that your favorite part?
the couch, yeah, I would say that's my favorite part. Like if I could levitate, the first thing I would do is run to the studio and like just chill on this couch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Does the TV work though? That's the question. Because if the TV doesn't work, I'm not sure I'd be chilling here.
TV 100% does work.
Okay, sick.
We can actually hook it up and play Atari on it.
Sick. I've never played Atari, and I feel like that's something I have to do.
Oh, dude, this is like literally how it happened back in the day. So yeah, it's perfect. You started off going to the Manhattan School of Music.
Yeah, I went to school kind of out of high school. Before I went to MSM, we call it MSM, Manhattan School of Music, I did 2 years at University of Toronto and then left after 2 years and then went to Manhattan School of Music and got my undergrad and master's there. Just because like I was there for jazz, and I feel like, you know, being in New York for jazz is so important. So that's kind of why I always knew I wanted to be in New York for that.
What were you majoring in? What was your instrument?
Saxophone. tenor sax.
Is that your favorite of all the instruments?
Now I'm not sure, but definitely I think still my favorite to play, just because there's like a comfort level. I would spend so much time playing in high school, and so it's the only instrument that I can play that's kind of like second nature, you know, where I don't have to think too much about it. So I would say definitely my favorite to play, but like acoustic guitar to listen to. I love an amazing acoustic guitar player.
How did going to MSN help shape you as a musician?
It was a great school, really incredible experience. I think the thing that I got most out of the school was actually the people that were there, and they helped shape me so much. You know, we would jam every single night, have jam sessions, and then, you know, in the mornings I would practice before class. And you know, the competition in New York is at such a high level that I feel like when you're immersed in it, all you want to do is just kind of, you know, be friends with the guys who are up there. And so that, I think, really did completely form me as a musician. Just hanging out with those guys, playing with those guys, learning from those guys was everything. And it got me a start, obviously, in the pop career that's totally weird and different. You know, I didn't think I was ever going to be a pop musician. If anybody had said that at the time, I would have been like, yeah, okay, sure, bud. You know, no way.
What would you say is like the most important instrument?
Wow, that's such a hard question. I'm really not sure. I would say the voice, and I love somebody who can sing in a, you know, super weird, unique way where you're like, oh wow, never heard that before.
Speaking of voices, yours is insane. Were you always like just gifted, or was this like something that like took a lot of?
True story. In high school, I played with a band called Platypi. They were like a Toronto-based band, and we had like a couple label reps, and everything was cool, and I was a saxophone player. And I really wanted to sing, like really, really wanted to sing. And I was like, guys, can I sing backgrounds? And they were like, yeah, I don't know, Mike. Like, have you sung before? And I was like, no, but like, you know, my pitch is okay. Like, I should be able to get it. And they were like, yeah, like you can try, practice for a week or two, and then go ahead and you know, you can do it on a gig, which I did. Right after the gig, their manager came up to me and was like, so you're not gonna sing backgrounds? Like, true story. He was just like, yeah, you tried once, you can't sing. So, you know, singing came later in life. It was actually like when I was touring with some pop bands, and I was like, you know, I really want to go into this and try singing. And it actually was a lot of work and a lot of practice, kind of like learning any instrument, which is why I tell people when they say like, oh, I can't sing. And it's like, no, you totally can. You know, I feel like everybody's got some sort of voice to share.
You started your career in music as a composer and band lead. Was that like right out of school essentially, or? Yeah,
actually in school, I started working with a record label called Alma Records. They're a Universal subsidiary, and then, you know, released my first album, which was super fun. And then out of school, started touring with not just my band, but with a lot of other bands, and that's kind of where the transition happened. I started playing saxophone with a band called Lucia, and then we started going on some really big tours and playing some really cool festivals like Osheaga and Lollapalooza and Governor's Ball, and, you know, like all sorts of really cool festivals. And then just honestly watching the faces of people watching that band like changed my life, you know, because like when you're playing jazz for people definitely listen, but it's more technical. And when you're playing pop music, people are just having the time of their life, going crazy. So at some point I was like, man, I want people to feel like this, you know. And that's when I picked up a guitar and started singing and writing and playing keys and all that stuff. I mean, specifically there was one like aha moment. I was playing opening for Ellie Goulding with St. Lucia and had a saxophone solo, and, you know, it was packed, and it was just it was like a eureka moment. It was like, damn, like why am I not doing this every day? You know, and making music that's gonna move people like that. So that was kind of like my aha. And then I was like, okay, time to totally transition here.
How long ago was that?
That was a few years ago, because I was living in New York, and then a couple of years ago I moved back to Toronto just because rent in New York is crazy, and I realized that I couldn't kind of have both feet in two different ponds, like playing saxophone and doing the writing thing. Like anything, I feel like you kind of have to specialize a little bit. So I gave up the sax for a couple of years, and that's when I moved to Toronto. I actually moved back home for a year and then got my own place because I couldn't do that anymore. And here I am, writing songs and releasing songs and music as a pop artist now.
Since you moved back to Toronto, you've written a lot of music.
Yeah.
So you chose this year to start pushing stuff out. Why this year?
Totally. Well, I've been writing music now for like 3 or 4 years, in Nashville, in Los Angeles, in New York, and in Toronto, just kind of flying all over the place and trying to work with as many people as possible. I didn't think I was going to be an artist necessarily. I just wrote so many songs for others, especially a lot of EDM collaborations. At one point, I had a few songs that just meant so much to me as a person that I couldn't give them away. And I was like, maybe I should try releasing these songs just because they are so personable. So that's kind of when I made the decision to start releasing in May of this year.
What is, in your mind, the best venue in the city?
Ooh. My favorite venue that I've played so far is Danforth Music Hall. That was so cool. My favorite venue, Danforth is definitely up there. I would say like Massey Hall though. There's so much history there, and jazz history too, which I obviously love. Like Miles Davis and Charlie Parker, maybe it was Dizzy Gillespie, played a show at Massey Hall, I think in '48, and it was one of the most like prominent concerts in jazz of all time. And then I played there a couple times as well, once more recently with St. Lucia. I haven't played Massey Hall as an artist yet, so that would definitely be amazing.
Who is your all-time favorite jazz musician if you had to pick just one to listen to for the rest of your life?
That's the hardest question I've ever been asked. I would say if I had to choose one, it would be Joshua Redman, who I actually got to know quite well when I was a jazz musician, and he's just so amazing. But John Coltrane would be a very close second.
What do you like and or dislike about music these days?
I feel like the drop. It's been like 10 years of like, you work your way up to a chorus and then it's just like, shoo, electronic drop vocal. You know what I mean? So like for me, every time I hear that, it's kind of like, oh, I've heard this for like a decade. Yeah. Other than that, honestly, I'm actually super happy with where music's at these days. I think that, with the digital streaming platforms, anything goes. And I think that's beautiful. You get artists like Billie Eilish on the charts, radio, not just, Spotify and Apple. I think it's kind of leveled the playing field a lot. And there's just so much different music happening right now that's considered pop. So I love that. Big fan.
What is the last song you listened to on your phone?
You know what? This is not fair because I just shot a music video yesterday, so I had to have my song on repeat. So it's just all the song. But no. But let's figure out how to like see this because I want to know.
Right.
How do I do this?
Oh, we're still trying.
Is there like more? Betty who I was actually a recommendation from a really cool friend of mine. Anytime she recommends music, I always check it out. Song is Old Me.
Give me your best dad joke.
Why should you not take your kids to see Mike Ruby with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra?
Why not?
Because of all the sax and violins.
That's a good one.
Well, it's